presentation is about a study which we did by the Edmonton Public School Board and also the Confucius Institute in Edmonton. This study is done a few years ago, and I think will be a piece of information and to understand why we should learn Chinese or another second language. Now this study, why are we doing this study? So the study, basically, we're going to examine the effect of the second language study learning, and from early age, and on the first language acquisition learning. The hypothesis, and we actually from our teaching experience, sorry, I should do this. Okay. So from the talking to the parents and talking to the students and also talk to the people, and the people always have questions. And is they think that you know, you're learning a second language and then you learn the first language, your mother tongue. So how is the conflict, and what's the interference with you learning two languages or three languages at a time? So that is always a question, and it's kind of confusing. But although we know that through the many years of the teaching and experience, and from our experience that we know that when the students learn a second language or learn a third language, and actually really doesn't matter whether they don't know worries about learning a first language. But we know that. But we want to do this study and want to show that it's not just you think, and we use the data and to show that there is no interference, negative impact on the first language learning. So that's why we're doing this study. So the hypothesis is that the students participating in intensive second language training from the early age will have compatible or superior or even better performances in the first language learning. So that's our hypothesis. So here I mentioned why we're doing this. Because we think that if we can show the parents, and especially the parents from a different cultural background, so they have a different language. So that's important to show that. So you, for learning a second language, it's not bad things. Actually, it's good things, and for the students. And because you know, there's some kind of perceptions and beliefs that here I listed a few things. The first thing is some people believe that if you learn a second language, you should wait until the first language is firmly established. So some people think, wait a minute, okay, so let's learn the first language first, and then we're thinking about learning second language. So that's some people believe that. And another people believe that if you learn second language too early, that will be damage the first language acquisition. And I think some people believe that. And some people believe that if the students who are learning second language have a struggling, but we see there's some, not everybody the same, right? Some people easier, some people a little bit challenged. And so some people believe that if you learn a second language, if you're struggling, then they should not learning the second language. And another thing is that say learning a second language is difficult, and so it's not for everybody. It should be to some kind of strong students or maybe some talented students. So then they should be learning second language. But for the average students and for the the student with the maybe already struggling with the studies, so maybe they should learn second language. So there's many things and people thinking. So that's why we think that doing this study, I think it will give some rationale, give some kind of theoretical the background to show the people maybe that's not the case, and we have thinking differently. So the as my personal experience that I think that in our Chinese bilingual program, I have so many friends from China. So actually, many years ago, the people from China, if they're speaking Chinese at home, so they think my kids shouldn't go to the bilingual program because we can't teach my kids speak Chinese at home. So they should. Because the main focus they come here to is learn English, because they feel that if we learn Chinese, spend half of the time to learn Chinese, their English will be slowed down and will maybe have a problem. So that's all kind of worries. But the fact is that now I think that the population for the children whose home language is Chinese, the numbers in our bilingual program has increased quite dramatically now. Edmonton Public School, as Peter and John mentioned, that we had 30 years, and actually this is the 31 years of Chinese bilingual program education history. And in our school district, we had 199 schools, and we had about a little bit more than 80,000 students. So at this moment, we have 12 schools. They offer the Chinese bilingual program, 5 elementary, 4 junior high, and 3 high schools. And also we have another 3 schools and offer the additional schools. They offer the Chinese as a second language program as well. So we have about 15 schools offer the Chinese programs, and we had about 2,000 students in the Chinese bilingual program and 1,000 students in the second language program. As you know, in Alberta, the government has standardized the test. They call it a provincial achievement test, and which is offered. Sorry. So all the students in grade 3, 6, 9, and 12, they have to take this standard test. Mainly it's the core courses, like for example, the English language arts, and they have to take mathematics and the science. So those they have a standard test. So that's why we have those information. So that's why we think that we can do this study and to see, how the second language, Chinese second language program, or not Chinese second language program, to impact their first language learning. So the data we Edmonton Public School has is that, so we have a data, those results, the achievements, and from bilingual school students, and also from immersion school students, and also for the regular students. So they all can segregate those data. So that's make it a bit easier for us to do the study. So here, I think it's repeated from John's. So we have a French immersion program, and which is they started from K to 12. So from kindergarten to grade 12, so it's 100% use of French teaching, and then go to grade 3 to 6, and then they have 85% of the language teaching by French, and then 7 to 9, so 70%, and then 10 to 12 is 40%. So that is a French immersion program. So that's one program. Another one is like we're talking about the bilingual program is the second one. So from K to 6, so 15% of the instruction time is they taught in Chinese. And then the 7 to 9 is reduced a little bit, about 30%. And the high school will be 15%. And also we have a second program too. And so we start from grade 4 to 9, but actually we don't have that program. And curriculum is written, but we actually don't have that program because we don't want to start from grade 4 because we worry that maybe there will be interference with the Chinese bilingual program. So that's why we don't offer this program. But we do have the second language program from grade 7 to 9 and then from 10 to 12. So this is giving a little bit numbers of different languages. We offer 13 different language programs. And some is a bilingual program, and some is a second language. So, and here, just some numbers here. So it's not quickly. So, in terms of the research design for this study, so we're thinking that we can do this because we have a data. So we have many years accumulated those data and in our school district, and also we have also the English test and from the English test and for all the students, and but for this study we only look at the English the results achievement test. So we look at the English the results for the bilingual program students, and also to look at the whole provincial students, how they achieved. So that's to do a comparison. So because on the Alberta achievement test, so actually the government is already set the score cuts. So they basically will categorize the students' their achievements by 3 categories. One is called below the acceptable standards. So that's one category. Another one is within acceptable. They call benchmark. You need the benchmark, just average. So you pass. And but there's another category they call the above the acceptable standards, which they call excellence students. So there's 3 categories. So when the students do the test, so the government already to score them and cut into 3 categories. So in this study, so we do that. We take the grade 3 students and as a pretest. So that's the pretest. And then we take the score from a grade 6 or 9, and then as the post-test scores, so we can do the comparison to see how they achieved, how much progress they achieved. So that's how we did it. But in order to do this and this research, so we did is that we used the provincial, all the students in the provincial Alberta province, so as a total called controlled population. And then we use the students in the second language program, and from K to 9, because at that time we did a study and we don't have enough data for grade 12, so we just did it actually 3, 6, 9. So use that data compared to the provincial comparison, the whole province, the students, how they did. So then we can see how they achieved, how much the impact of the second language program and in terms of the first language learning. And so what we did is that we converted all the marks and the data into the Z score and to do the comparison. But Z score is is a mathematical statistical measurement how to do the analysis of this data. So we use 2 kind of ways to analysis this data. One is called statistical test and analysis in R computing environment and to do the comparisons. And another one is we use graphical representations and to do the comparisons how the students perform. When we do the data collections, we don't do individually. We do as a cohort. We do a whole group. It's not instead of individualized students. So because some we did the research to take the second language the program because our students reasonably still small. So each group, we took not only Chinese, we took Arabic, German. There's some program, bilingual program is small numbers, so we put them together as a whole group. But we another thing is we also to do is that we have intake here. You can to see the we have two groups because one group is two small numbers, so we try to get more students so then the data can really to show more valid. So the first cohort, the group of students we did is we picked up 304 students and who beginning the schools in September 1997. So that's the first group. And then we'll take the second group is next year, so 1998, and it's about 286 students. So altogether, and so it's 590 students. So which you consider is a good numbers, and here give a chart to show what kind of the students will be involved. We draw the students from a different programs, so Chinese bilingual program, and French immersion, and German bilingual, and Ukraine bilingual, and Arabic bilingual program. So you can see the majority from this chart is from the Chinese bilingual program. Because in Edmonton Public, actually, we are one of the second largest, except the French program. So. As a Confucius, actually the study is started with the Edmonton Public School, but as a Confucius Institute, we give a sponsorship and to support this research. And one of the reasons why we're doing that, because for the Confucius to sponsor this study, because we think that this study is quite important, because it has raised interest across whole Canada, not only Canada, in North America, or even in Europe. And so which will be play a key role in the language education debate, okay, in these areas. And the second is that we thought that the largest population in this study is the Chinese students in the students in the Chinese program. So we thought that this is very significant for us to promote the Chinese language education. So another reason is that we think that this is a summer study that could demonstrate a positive correlation between the Chinese language learning and also to increase the proficiency in the first language, and that will be very, very useful and to promote the Chinese language learning. And also we think that through this study we can promote the Chinese language education and nationally and even in the world. So we did this presentation actually in Beijing and to the International Chinese Language Conference, and we showed this study as well. So this is the results, how it come out. I think that is most sorry. This is probably is most interesting things for you. So you see, if you look at it here, if you look at here, this is grade 3, grade 3. So grade 3 below average. Now below average. This below is below average. For the whole province, the data we get. 10% of the students they below the average acceptable level, and for our and then for Shihada, and this is the number is for the bilingual program. You see, we only have 5% below the acceptance level, which means in grade 3 even. Our students, they learning English actually still better than the provincial average. And for meet benchmark, which means acceptable level, provincial level is 72%, and the bilingual program is 72%. So pretty much the same. So there's nothing differences. But if you look at the excellent, so above the average level, provincial, the results is 18% of the students, they get excellence, but for the bilingual program, 23. So actually they do better. That's in grade 3 level. So I think Peter mentioned that in their slides. So in grade 3, they're okay. So they're a little bit better and not worse for our students. Even they in a bilingual program, they took half of this time study another languages. Now, if you look at this grade 6, so this chart you can see provincial students, they do 12% below the level. But for our students, the bilingual students, only 4% below the level. So a little bit better. And 60% is a benchmark, and 70% is for the bilingual program. And 19% is achieve excellence in the provincial, the other students. And then 26% of our bilingual programs, they achieve the excellence performance. So this number has been increased quite a bit. Now, if you look at the grade 9, so they even do better. You see, only 2% they below the benchmark, but 39 students they achieve the excellence. So from this chart, the result, the data indicate that actually our students actually do pretty good.
Dr. Lee, may I ask a question?
Yes. Yeah.
About the methodology. And this one, you use a provincial mark, right?
Yeah.
The whole province.
Yeah.
But based on the Fraser Institute research in Canada.
Yeah.
But in cities, the student in cities, overall their mark is better than in the countryside. So do you have a data? Just because all the bilingual program in city of Edmonton, right? So do you have a comparison with the student in Edmonton?
Okay.
Not in the.
Not compared to the provincial ones.
Yeah.
But we don't do that study yet. But we only this study just compared to the provincial level. Yeah. And but one thing you have to notice that some people think that the students in the bilingual program they are good students. You know, they're better than the regular students. But which maybe is not true, because if you look at the grade 3, right? The grade 3, we're talking not individual, we're talking the group, right? If we do grade 3, and they are pretty much the same, right? So in grade 3, the English level pretty much the same. So which is indicate that the students is not really superior than the other students. So that's, but of course, there's you made a good questions, but this gives you a little bit kind of a comparison of the students, how they're elite students or not, right? But so grade 3, they're pretty much the same, a little bit high, but then you go to grade 9, so it's much higher. Yeah.
Thanks.
So, yeah. So
maybe save the question for later.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the results. This is just a chart, pretty much the same. You see, like this is for our students. Like this is for the acceptance benchmark. You see, for our students, the performing is a little bit higher, and then the numbers is drop a little bit. Now, why they drop? Because the more students go to the excellence, and so that's why the number drop. And for the this is for below the average, and a little bit higher, and then they drop slowly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You see here. So this one is just the acceptable level, so number. Because this number drop doesn't mean because they get worse. Actually, they get better because many of the students go to this excellence, right? And when you look at this one, it's below the average, so they jump down a little bit. So So from this chart, you can see it's improved. Yeah. So this is pretty much the same things, and I talk about the results about the chart, because the chart is already tell itself. So I tried to make it a bit quicker. And this is another chart, and they tell you the this is a graphic also shows, and I think this is a grade 3. So they are pretty much, the students is not really tell you it's not elite students. They're pretty much with the average students. And then to grade 9, so the whole chart is moved to here. So they improved quite a bit. And actually, the study also, I think, it shows that even for the lower, struggling with the second language students, actually their English actually is improved more than compared to the to the regular English students. So that's another interesting point here. So through this study, so generally speaking, we say that in grade 3, the students' population is only slightly above the normal distribution for the province. This is after 3 years of being in the Chinese, not the bilingual program. And this is, so they still have a broad distribution of the results indicating they are not elite students, so which I mean. So from grade 3, so they're not pretty much the same. But some students are clearly struggling in English at grade 2 and grade 3. Some students just struggling because they are also below. And as I teach in the school, I personally experienced that, in grade 3. And some students is still struggling with English a little bit. Because also you have to remember there's some students they're new immigrants from China, from other places, and they're ESL students, right? And so even though their English is not too bad. By grade 9, this group has clearly advanced significantly beyond the mean. So they improved much, much higher. The top-end students in grade 3 have not necessarily advanced, but yet they are still in the excellence categories. It is the low-end students in grade 3, the ones who struggle in English, who have made the most gains. So you can, from the charts, you can see that even the students have a little bit struggling, but their English is improved a little bit, not as much as, but they still reasonably compared to the regular students. So, this effect size indicate that those students who remained in the bilingual program or immersion program showed statistically significantly greater growth in English language arts than would have been expected if they have tracked the control, the whole province group. So in other words, we said that their English actually was better than if they had been in the English-only program. But this is still very rough kind of ideas. Really, but I think basically from the information from this study, we can say that for students, if we enroll in the bilingual program, it doesn't mean their English learning will be affected. So that's, I think, from this study we can confidently we can show that. And not only be affected by the learning a second language, actually be enhanced and also be better. Now, this is just this study. But actually, why is that? We need more studies to say, why not two languages will be better than just monolingual? There are lots of studies doing that kind of thing. So we know that if students learn more languages, they're mentally developed and quickly, and they're thinking widely, and actually they most, the thinking skills, cognitive kind of skills is better. And so that's one of the reasons. But of course, you learn another language, and so maybe you can culturally integrate it with different countries, more understanding, more comprehension. Because you learn language, it's not just language skills. You learn the language with many knowledges, culture things, and kind of thing. So it's really open their visions and their eyes, their thinkings. Those is all contributed to your learning. So that's another thing is very, very, very important. So we need more research maybe doing that. We're thinking that maybe we'll do another research. I'm doing another research right now. I try to look at, because we have many graduates like that, and so they already graduated from bilingual program, and they already working. So now I'm doing a study to see how the language, second language learning, especially the Chinese, even for that, how those language help them to be a better person, to be more successful opportunities in their career development. So I think we have so many students and successful stories. So I'm doing research to show how this will be very exciting, and to see what's the benefits of learning another language. So I think that's give you enough time. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Wei, for very reassuring and encouraging study. Kathy?
Thank you very much. That deals with a question that comes up very often with the implementation of bilingual programs, no matter what the language and the context. How will it affect the children's first language, or the language that's the dominant language in schools and in the society? The question that comes to me from prospective students or parents of students in programs like that is, how does their Chinese develop? And how do you evaluate the Chinese of those kids as they go, the literacy and oral skills and so on? And I've often tried to find information on this from the Edmonton schools, and now you're here, it's a perfect chance to find out how assessment of Chinese. Of course, we see wonderful examples in front of us, and that's terrific, and I'm sure there's lots of great anecdotal evidence from parents and from teachers. What kind of assessment has there been?
Okay. Actually, I'm the right person to answer this question. I have been in the testing for 6 years or 5 years. And so since I'm working at the Confucius Institute, so we are one of the biggest testing Chinese testing center. And so we offer the YCT and HSK test. And we're supposed to have BCT, but business Chinese test, but we can do that. But mostly we focus on the HSK test and YCT test. So the good question is that reflects how we're talking many good things, but how can the results to show how the students achieve the language, Chinese language proficiency level? I will say this way. So every year I did last year we had 1,200 students write the test, including YCT. Now YCT is called the Chinese language proficiency test for the youth. Basically, under the 15th of age, so that's called YCT. HSK is the Chinese language proficiency test, is for general, for anyone can write the test. So every year we run this test, and the level they achieved, I think the most. For elementary school, our bilingual program, we had grade 3. They write the test, YCT test level 1. Let me see, 3. Yeah, 4 is right level 2, and 5 is level 3, and grade 6 right level 4. That's for elementary schools. For junior high school students, and many of, we have 2 programs. So we're talking about maybe bilingual program. We don't talk about the second, so we'll go next time. So bilingual program, for the junior high, grade 7, most of the students, they write level 3. HSK, okay, that's HSK. HSK level 3 or 4. And age, most is right to focus on the level 4. but some write level 5 as well. So the highest were the grade 12 students when they finish. Most of the students, majority, no problem with HSK level 5. And we have a small portion of the students, they pass the grade 6, HSK level 6. Level 6 is the highest the test exists now. The numbers now, I think, has increased quite a bit. The first few years, we only maybe 20 students passed the grade level 6. Last year, we have 40 students from grade 12 students, they passed level 6. Now, this standard is very conservative, still conservative. I think the students will do better than this number I gave to you. For example, like elementary, we grade 6, they do level 4. And the teachers told me that, most of the students, they got very high score. Some got 100% or something. So this year, started last year, we said, okay, if it's too low, then you can go to HSK. So there's some like HSK level 3, and this year level 4. And so that's kind of the levels we achieved. And but in reality, I think our students doing very well. They do. Last year we sent 50 students go to China, and scholarships into Qingdao, Shandong. And when our students go over there, but they mix with many other countries, and so their teacher said, "Oh my goodness, this students is level too high. We prepared the lessons. It's way too high." So they so amazed of the achievements we our students achieved. So we're so proud of the program. But of course, there's students still struggling, and we still know how we do it. That's always the case with it. But the majority, average, I think that's the numbers I give.
How many grade 12s graduated from Chinese?
Last year, in the grade 12, I would say from bilingual program, maybe 200 or something, between 200 and 250, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And do you allow students to intake at different rates if they're ESL and they have certain Chinese level? Is it ESL in the bilingual program, or they all have to start in kindergarten?
The bilingual program, we usually encourage them to study from kindergarten. But we do take some students from grade 1.
But nothing higher?
Huh?
Nothing higher, like grade 4?
Yeah, I will say like a grade 2, grade 2, depends on the student's background though, right? And we take, I think we take some students in grade 3, we take, but if 4, 5, 6 will be too high. But if we study from grade 3, I think the students must have a mother tongue is Chinese, otherwise it's very harmful. And I have a student of grade 3, and many years ago from China, and the mother struggling. Right for the English program or China program. And then they struggled. So imagine it, and I convinced her, I said, okay, come to our program, and I'll assure you that your students, your kids will do that. Actually, he did, after 2 years or grade 6, the person coming to me, he said, thanks so much, my kids doing good to retain the Chinese language and also English as good as the other students. Yeah, so it's yeah.
At home?
I just want to know whether the tests are done through the school board or voluntary.
The first year when we start this test is a pilot. That's in 2007. And everybody's sort of bit kind of scared because of this, the international standard test. And so the teachers will be hesitant too, and because in some ways, not only test the skills or test the teachers as well. And but we started, and not every student write the test, and not it's voluntary, and not every the classes teachers participate. But so far now, and I will say all the students, not all the students, but I say all, yeah, almost all the students. But the teachers will be selected, like if this class they write last year, maybe they don't do the whole class. But everyone wants to write a test, even the teachers. And they're so proud because their students do so well. And I think it's a voluntary basis, but we have more people, lots of people want to do it.
So the school board doesn't advance?
Oh, the school board actually is very encouraged, and the school very supportive to write this test.
Who paid the test fees?
Who pay the test fees? And very touching. But it's also dilemma. It's very challenging. Like we have a French test and German test. It's very expensive. One test in French, I think is like. But for Chinese test, it's not expensive, but you still have to pay. But we do the test, we still have to pay China, right? You want to pay. But so we just before Confucius Institute pay for that. Okay, so we, for the elementary school, junior high, you don't want to charge them because you pay them. You say parents say, why pay them? What's the benefits, right? So we don't charge them because if you charge them, and we'll roll the numbers and write the test. So we want the students to write. It's not just for test, but this is also to set up a standards for our program, and also all the schools can be consistency in the same level. So there are lots of benefits for that kind of thing. So Confucius Institute, we decided we pay for that. And actually, it's Hanban is going to pay for that. But then the Hanban last year said, no, we're not going to pay for that anymore. So they stopped funding for this. But we still then also what to do. So then I have a meeting. So we had a meetings with principals. Okay. So I say, the Confucius Institute doesn't have funding for the fees. And so can you pay, each school pay us $1,000. So put them together. So we'll pay $100. So no problem. So the school principals, oh, that's no problem. So now everybody see the benefits, right? And because I get a lot of call from the students and the parents. When is the testing? So they want to. It's a good encouragement for the students because they see the results they achieved. So.
Okay, well, we have one question over there.
I wanted to ask, I wanted to ask before, but about the math. I was quite curious about how the math is being taught in Chinese. Is it taught the Chinese way of doing math? No, I mean, because my daughter did math in China, and when we moved here, she's very confused. And also, do the students have difficulty switching over to doing math in English later? Or is there any move to continue now the math in the higher grades, doing it in Chinese?
Yeah, we, Peter, the presentation, the ECBA, they did the presentation. We used to be, we teach social studies, not math. Then we found that very hard for the Chinese teachers to teach social studies because social studies, there are lots of content and lots of resources. It's not ready, so the vocabulary level is higher than their vocabulary level for the students. So it's very hard to teach. So then our school, Edmonton High School, then they decided maybe we should to change it. Now change it to another project. That's called, we think the first the subject we think is mathematics. Why math? Because mathematics is less language designed, right? Because there are lots of things, formulas, this is international, and so numbers, right? So everyone's the same. So then we switch it. But this 5 years ago, I think how many years? I think this is 7 or 8 years ago we switched it. And at that time I teach grade 3. So I have to teach math. I had a lot of parents come here to not complain, they showed up their concern. Because if they learn this, because math is the core subject we need to through the achievement test. So they worry that if you teach managing, and how can they write the test, right? In English, right? So then they say, okay, I understand that, and so the way we're teaching at that time, I think the most teacher would do in our school district is that, of course, we teach the math in Mandarin, but we also to introduce some special terminologies still in English. So they still have to know some English because otherwise they don't write. But for the problem solving. So you build lots of way of teaching use the language because problem solving, discussions, kind of things. But special terminology still can use English. So now that's involved. So as I remember, the first year, when we switched lots of concerns, but after the first year, we did an achievement test. My class, two classes, I taught 60 kids. There are two classes and one for 30 for each. Nobody failed. And I think it's 30% to reach benchmark, and 67 or something, 70% is excellent. So after that year, nobody complained, nobody can say, so that's no problem. And that's the truth. It should be, language should be a problem, but for the Chinese, we teach the mathematics, and I think it's okay. And I think there's, some things you imagine teach maybe it's good for them, maybe for thinking the other ways, kind of things. So it's maybe helpful. So actually, our students do very, very well in the math program. Even the high school, Londonderry High School, junior high. So they teach the mathematics in Mandarin, the same things. But now I just talk to the principals or go to the schools we often. They so love it because the students do very well in there to reach their schools kind of achievement results actually. So it's not a concern.
Okay, thank you. There was one gentleman.
Yeah, my question was related. I remember writing Canadian achievement test. Was math actually included on the provincial achievement?
Yeah, math.
So do you have any comments on any correlation that you found between people in commercial bilingual program versus
in mathematics?
Yeah, for something that I wouldn't normally expect to be not correlated. That I would expect to be, or intuitively I would think it's not correlated. Do you have any comments on this statistics in that?
I think we are thinking to do a study to see how the students in the bilingual program, in terms of the subject of mathematics they're learning, will be superior or maybe they pretty much the same as the provincial. Actually, we didn't do this study. We're thinking to do the study, but only the study we did is that compared to the English actually, because that's most people worry because when the parents come in, they worry that So, but that's some study subject. We're thinking maybe was what you did.
French immersion, because my brothers, my nephew's in French immersion, but told him out to grade math as much. Because of the French immersion, there were studies, that's what he said, there were studies.
So, but actually the mathematics teaching is not only Chinese bilingual program in Edmonton High School. They in all the bilingual programs are converted, changed into system.
But there's the talk of changing that in French immersion.
Or French immersion, I'm not sure. But the bilingual we all change. I think the comments generally speaking very positive. Yeah, very positive.
Okay, maybe Kathy
And
can
if
add.
I could just speak to that math issue, because it's my colleagues Monique Bruno-Treit and Ken Leader researched a few years ago at a local French immersion school in Vancouver, where they were going to increase the amount of time in math from 50% French to 80% French, and there was a great concern that that would affect the math performance on the English tests. And the research showed, because they tracked over time the students who had started with 50% and stayed at 50% versus those who went up to 80%, actually the students who had math in French more of the time outperformed the students who had it with more time in English. So that, I mean, that's one study. And it was counterintuitive. Why would they do better in English in a subject they learned in French? And the one explanation was because the students have to concentrate much more when they're doing it in another language. So there's more cognitive engagement, and beyond any other influence, cognitive enrichment of doing something in languages, that you can think of things in different ways. But it was the kind of focus on the math problems by having to do it in another language.
Thank you. One last question.
You mentioned there's a dramatic increase in mainland China families. So what is the percentage?
We don't have the statistics, but as I see, I was close to schools, we see more families now in the school, kids from Chinese families in the Chinese program. Because before they're scared, because they all think that they can learn. But realistically, the kids cannot learn a language into certain the level at home, right? And so you have to be, if you want to reach a certain level of language proficiency, you have to through the formal education system, so you then reach that kind of levels. So I think the more and more people now understand that, and they see that lots of successful stories show that if in a bilingual program you learn 2 languages or 3 languages, really doesn't increase your first language learning, English language learning. So I think this to soften lots of people's worries, and especially the people from mainland China, from Taiwan, the Mandarin background families, because they always think, yeah, I can teach my kids, but realistically, it's very hard. It's not that easy. Yeah, and so, like for example, my daughter is through that. When I end up home, I talk to her all in Mandarin, but after a few years, she all turned into English, right? Occasionally to say. So then I put it into the language program, and so she can keep the language. And now she told me, like Harris mentioned that, the kids don't understand at this very young. They didn't see that far. But now my daughter told me, I'm so glad that you pushed me through that language program, because she sees the benefits of doing the language, because that's add a lot of potentials and for the success of their work, because you know more languages, you have more abilities to do the things. So not only my daughter, I think many of the students graduate now. So that's why I want to do a study to find an interesting story, so to maybe to show how it's important and to then get another language, especially the Chinese now, right?
Thank you very much, Dr. Wei Li. I know there are some other questions, but you'll have a chance to talk about it during the lunch and the discussion. So please give your question. And before going to lunch, we're going to have lunch over there. Before going in, I'd like you to look at your program. The third page, last page of the program. And there's a topic, group discussion topics. There are 4 basic things, as you can see. And there's the 4 papers on each corner of the dining hall, which is theme 1, theme 2, theme 3, theme 4. So whatever that you are interested in, I'd like you to, there's a pen, sign up for the topic so that we can distribute people and do a round table discussion for the afternoon.
So feel free to look at your sheets, figure out what topic's interesting, sign your name up, and then during the lunch break, we'll spend like the first 15, maybe 20 minutes having our meal, and then we're going to have a presentation circle during the lunch break, and then right after that, we will immediately go into our 4 corners. So make note of what location of the room you've signed up to.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's